Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the United States Color Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Lonnie Klaus, founder and president of First Responders First, presents our invocation.
All right, let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, I thank you for the privilege to live in the United States of America, where we can enjoy events such as iRacing. God, we do pray that you be with our country. May you give us peace and unity throughout this time of chaos. God, we thank you for your goodness and your faithfulness. We give you the thanks in Christ's name. Amen.
And to honor America, please welcome artist Peter Brenner of EMI Music Publishing as he performs our national anthem. And to give the command, please welcome Fox Sports' Alan Cavana as he gives those famous words in motorsports.
Hey everyone, I'm Alan Cavana of Fox Sports. I am honored to be the Grand Marshal of the TSJ Sports 100 at Daytona, where I am. Drivers, start your engines!
Monday evening, everybody. Welcome here as it's playoff time for the 2020 Monday Night Racing Series. And what a way to kick it off as we get ready to go racing with the Cup cars here this evening for 45 laps at Daytona International Speedway. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman, who may know a thing or two about Daytona, being down in the Florida area. And Michael, nighttime conditions, it's the first race of the playoffs. It's crazy to think that these drivers, to be able to make their way into the next round, are going to have to get through a super speedway like this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's anything goes here today. It's going to be 3 wide, 2 wide all over the racetrack. These guys are just going to have to put their nose in and get going, find a partner till the very end. It's going to be interesting.
As we take a look at the starting lineup for this race, 13 drivers qualified their way into the playoffs. Only 9 are in tonight's starting lineup. A couple of notables that made their way in that are not in tonight's event include some drivers that are very well known on the NASCAR circuit: Parker Kligerman, Landon Castle, and of course last week's winner, Kyle Busch. But with 9 drivers here tonight, it's a winning or in system. So if one of those 9 drivers were to win, they're locked into the next round. But the thing that I looked at, Michael, coming into this race were the rules for tonight's event. We already know that these drivers have 4 fast repairs at their disposal. They've got a competition caution coming out on lap 15. And based on what we saw last time out, we ended up seeing that the drivers, if they're trapped a lap down under caution, they get back in the lead lap. They have a second chance. So with that being said, knowing that these drivers have so many opportunities to get back into this thing, 45 laps, which really doesn't seem like a long race, how aggressive are we going to see them for the entirety of this race?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to see probably a lot of different strategies play out. I mean, yeah, we'll see some cars that are aggressive, but we're going to more than likely see some that are just going to hang out in the back and try to work their way up. Because even with those fast repairs, you don't want to really have to be involved in something and use them. So if you can keep your car out of trouble, no matter what strategy, that's going to be the best way to do it and get your car up to the front when it counts.
Seth Agert on the pole alongside Justin Malello. Both of those drivers are competing for the championship. Nick DeGroot right there as well in third, but you've also got a couple of new names making their debuts here tonight on the outside of rows 2 and 3. That's former Xfinity Series champion Jeff Green in the 22. Right behind him, the number 13 Flex Steel Chevrolet of NASCAR next driver Ryan Vargas. So we'll see what they bring to the table. Michael, we've seen Jeff Green at Daytona before in another league. Should be a good one, as it's going to be Seth Agert leading them down, and we're green flag racing in the playoffs.
Great start by these drivers. We're going to see how long it takes them to either single out or pick the line that they want to be in. And all the way off into turn number 1 at 66 with a great lead.
He has the lead. He also has drafting help as Nick DeGroot moves into second. Saw Jeff Green switch from high to low. He's now third on that inside line. DeGroot, he's not going to wait. He's jumping up to the top side, tried to pick up Malello, but Malello had a push from Ryan Vargas. We're 3 wide for the lead.
And that's where it's going to start. Like you said, aggressive moves to begin with. We've seen Justin race in other leagues before. We know exactly how aggressive he can be. It's all going to be about the draft. Remember, these bumpers don't line up properly except for maybe the Fords. So it'd be interesting to see if these cars can tandem, and if they can, how often they will do so without blowing their motors.
23 drivers took the green to start this race. You see the 27, that Hardy Chevrolet on the apron. That is Michael Massey, started from pit road, so he's going to be a lap down here in the early stages of this race. Of course, there is that competition caution that's going to come out on lap 15, so he would more than likely get back in the lead lap. Another driver that was scheduled to start this race but did not even take the green or get on track was the 20 of Jerry Jordan. As I commented on this during practice, and you disagreed with me, these cars in practice and even now kind of look like they're a little bit unsteady going side to side in the corners.
Yeah, I mean, Daytona track is repaved and a little bit smoother, but actually as the pavement wears, all those bumps that we've seen before are starting to come back. So, you know, it's not exactly the smoothest racetrack out there, but it is smoother than it used to be. And even the smallest bump at a track where you're holding it full throttle, almost 200 miles an hour, is really going to upset your race car.
Shortest way around the racetrack is that inside line. And, well, I was going to say that Eggert, that was Jeff Green, and the 86 of Devin Henry. Those guys were all working together, but Jeff Green, now he's going to switch up to the top side and lead that outside line with Malello and Ryan Vargas. You drop back here, though, and a couple of drivers. This is strategy. You see the the 07, I should say, of Ford Martin, the 10 of DJ Cummings, and behind them, or actually in front of them, is the 17 of Michael Rossi. These are all teammates out of HPU, High Point Racing. They're all teammates, and this was strategy on their part. We learned prior to the race that they were going to hang back, wait for the competition caution, and they actually have the plan. They're going to come to pit road before that competition caution comes out and take on the tires and fuel that they need, then hopefully cycle up to the front of the field when we get to the completion of the competition yellow.
That's right, back at the front, another change for the lead. And it's going to be Justin Malello back up to the front now. But the outside lane kind of broken up a little bit. It's got 3 cars nose to tail, and that seems to be working for the time being. But that inside line is a little more organized.
They are more organized, but people probably wondering, how can 3 cars on the outside line be able to counter 5 cars on the inside? And a big reason is because when you're up on that outside line, the wider way around the racetrack, you're able to hold that car wide open, whether you're the first car out in front, second or third car behind. On that inside line, there's a tremendous amount of checkup going into the corner.
Absolutely, because on the inside lane, you get such a run with the draft with these race cars and that high rear spoiler that you have no choice but to back off because you don't want to bump in the corner and turn somebody sideways.
Ryan Vargas, that bright red Chevrolet Camaro, going to go to the lead. He was the fastest in practice earlier on. And it's kind of interesting, too, because we're talking about all these drivers that are, able to win their way into the next round of the playoffs here tonight. But you got some guys here like Vargas, like Jeff Green. They can go out there, take a checkered flag, and then it's all those drivers having to rely on points to make it into the next round.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's just how it goes here. It's racing, they're not just out there racing themselves; they're racing everybody, just like it was throughout the whole season. So it's a factor that these guys got to think about.
We mentioned the fact that of the 13 drivers that qualified into the playoffs, only 9 of them are in the field. Those drivers would include Ron Capps, Nick DeGroot, DJ Cummings, Ford Martin, Michael Rossi, Chris Wilner, Seth Eggert, who started on the pole, Justin Malello, and Steven Ellis. So keep an eye on those drivers in the running order because they're the ones that are trying to make it into the next round to compete for the championship. And, I look at the other races that got coming up here for this round, and this might be the one that they want to end up taking a trip to victory lane and locking themselves in because next week, the final race of the first round, Daytona road course here with the Porsche 911 cars.
Yeah, and that's going to be something on its own. You see Jeff Green a little squirrely there. Not sure if he's just trying to keep his nose out, get a little bit of air. We've seen it before with 2-car tandems. You can't stay tucked behind somebody for long, otherwise your car's going to start running hot.
A couple of drivers with some connection issues here these last couple of laps. Jeff Green, the 22, and just moments ago I saw the 19 of Paul Sutton having some problems. Of course, Sutton was in the running for a potential playoff spot last week, but came up just short. So now he's out there trying to see if he can get a victory before the conclusion of this season. Right now, if you look here at our lead pack of the 23 drivers that are still in the lead lap, they're all separated by 2.5 seconds. So the whole pack is still in the draft of each other.
Yes, they are. In the inside lane, you can see is prevailing for the most part because they're still stuck on each other's back bumpers. But it's just going to have to wait and see. Jeff Green really, really pushing that 13 if he can get there.
Car up there in the wall, just a brief moment. I think that might have possibly been the 49 of Brendan Madonia, but I'm not certain. Saw a little bit of sparks coming off the right rear quarter panel, but I don't think he really hit it. I think he just brushed it, so he should be okay. Neither line is given an edge. Justin Malello on that top side. Oh, we got a wreck! Got a car around Joshua Slate in the 88. I'm sorry, no, that's not him. That's the 81 of Joe Agee. And he's going to spin back up the track.
26 says 26 is involved. 23. Yeah, we got. Yep, Chris Wilner involved here.
Rob D'Amico in the 23. Wilner, as you mentioned, that's one of our playoff contenders. It was hard to tell since the wreck kind of happened off camera how much damage he may have sustained out of that. Of course, as we mentioned, there are 4 fast repairs at these drivers' disposal. This will help Michael Massey get back in the lead lap. You see the 27 going on by, and it's going to be interesting too because last week, when we ended up having an early caution, the race admins called an audible and pushed the competition caution back a little bit. I mean, we're more than likely not going to be going back green until maybe lap 13 or so, which is only 2 laps away from the competition caution. So you got to wonder if they're going to maybe push that competition yellow back a little bit, or maybe this will be the competition yellow. We're going to have to wait and see about that.
Yeah, and after looking at what brought out the caution, it was indeed the 26. He just got a little high into the corner, bounced off the wall, and kind of came down into... I believe, I can't quite tell the number of this. I believe that's the 81. It came down into the 81, and that's what happened.
Take a look at it here into turn 1.
Oh, just heard that this caution flag will count as the competition caution.
Okay, so that is going to answer that question. And as I'm looking at this 26 car, I almost think that the car that I saw get into the wall the lap before actually might have been that 26 car. So it looked almost kind of like deja vu the way that he brushed that outside wall with the right side of his machine. I think he had done it the lap before as well.
Also just heard through the scanner here, Ryan Vargas, our race leader, not only is he pitting now, but there's a bit of a mechanical situation on that 13 car. Says his pedals are uncalibrating themselves, so he's going to have to deal with that as he's on pit road.
Oh wow, and that for those that may not know, that is a huge issue, especially when you're at a track like Daytona, where you definitely need your throttle pedals as well as your brake pedals.
Absolutely.
And we're on board there with Adji in the 81, and here you see the contact that was made for him. It was like he just kind of got blindsided. I don't think he even knew the 26 was coming down the racetrack into him. And now these drivers have a little bit of a decision to make, because with this being the competition caution, we've seen before drivers, at super speedways, they'll stay out, they'll take on 2 tires, they'll go fuel only. Some drivers will go with the 4-tire stop. It all depends on how much time and how many positions you want to lose on pit road.
Absolutely. See, the 13 has, I believe, settled his problem for now and is now back out on the racetrack, no longer leading the race.
Jeff Green in the 22 appears to have gone with a 2-tire pit stop. Jason Keffer in the 33. Right now your race leader stayed out. Michael Rossi may very well have missed his pit stall. I'm not seeing a pit stop time for the 17 car, and it's saying that he only spent about 16 seconds on pit road, so he may actually have missed his stall, and we'll see if he's actually going to come to pit road this time. He also, remember I mentioned the fact that Michael Rossi, Ford Martin, DJ Cummings, those guys, they were all planning on coming to pit road before the competition caution. This kind of threw a monkey wrench into their strategy.
Yes, it did, and I believe that's them coming back down pit road. I see the 17 car back down pit road. Like you said, he might have missed his pit stall, so... And that's a very tough thing to have, having raced on iRacing before. A lot of times, if you're not really paying attention, you're going to miss when your crew drops that signboard. And I think he missed it again.
I think he did. It was like he came to a stop, couldn't find it, and now comes back out onto the racetrack. So some issues right now for Michael Rossi in that 17 car on pit road. A couple of other drivers besides Jeff Green look like went with 2-tire pit stops. Kyle McFadden in the 39, DJ Cummings in the 10. They went with a 2-tire strategy, as well as the 49 of Brendan Mardonia. So about 4 or 5 drivers deciding to go with the 2-tire strategy, as Jeff Green dealing with some connection issues here again. You see the lights are on atop the pace car, so that's even worse news for Michael Rossi with missing his pit stall twice. Now he's going to have to, I guess, just kind of bite the bullet and hope he doesn't run out of fuel or have to pit by himself if we get into a long green flag run.
Absolutely. And there's something that we haven't mentioned about this. This caution was a huge break for Michael Massey in the 27.
He's going to be back on the lead lap. And actually, I believe the 20 of Jerry Jordan has actually joined the race as well after he failed to make the start. Right now, 9 laps down. We'll see if he gets his laps added back at some point during this race. But we're getting ready to go back green. You mentioned, Michael, this was the competition caution. So now any other caution that come out would be obviously due to a wreck. That's going to be Jason Keffer, who did not come to pit road at all under that caution. He's going to lead us to green over Jeff Green in the 22.
Ooh, Jeff Green spun his tires a little bit, but he's got the 89 all over his back bumper.
Going to be side by side going into turn 1, and one thing that we saw in the first run was the fact that neither line was really able to get an advantage, and Jeff Green still with some connection problems here, and that's going to be very difficult for Nick DeGroot to push that 22 car and get that outside line going, not knowing if the 22 is going to be in front of him or not.
Oh, he just got turned.
There he goes! Right in the middle of the pack, there's at least 3, maybe 4 cars involved.
Oh, there's a lot of cars involved.
Oh, man.
There's the caution flag.
CJ McLaughlin sliding the wrong way on the back straightaway. DJ Cummings, I think, got a piece of it in the 10.
Boy,
Brett Baldeck.
It's a good thing these guys have fast repairs because, man,
absolutely.
Look at that 64 machine just destroyed.
Paul Sutton was in there. Jeff Green, of course, was the one that got hooked around. And, you know, we'll go back and look at the replay, but I would have to assume that that was probably due to some net code when the 22 kept blinking in and out.
Oh, my Lord. If you're looking on the replay, watch the 64. That was a hard impact to the inside wall.
We're going to watch here the 22 of Jeff Green. And he had Nick DeGroot all over his back bumper. DeGroot knew the 22 was blinking in and out, but he was willing to take the risk of trying to shove Jeff Green on that outside line. Let's see if it indeed is net code here. The 22 never blinked at that point.
No, he even said over the driver's chat he was apologizing for everything. It was a bad bump.
Saw there Chris Wilner, second wreck he's been involved in the 26. There's Sutton in the 19. And I saw what you were talking about with the 64 of Baldeck going down to the inside. We're actually going to look and see what happened with him because I saw him shoot down to the right, heading towards the wall, and then shoot back to the left after his impact with the wall. And that's
it was a hard
lick.
impact. Just watch it as he goes down just into the wall.
Focused on him here, and let's see who it is that gets him, sends him down. Looks like it might have been DeGroot. Oh, my word.
Yeah, that was a hard impact.
Gracious. Oh, and then he got a shot there from, I think that was, it might have been Drew Welker in the 24 that got him afterwards. So there were, you know, I saw maybe 3 cars around, but when we look back here at the replay, there were about 7, 8, 9 cars that got damaged in some way, shape, or form here.
Yeah, like I said, good thing these guys got fast repairs because that was just brutal.
Want to see what it's like from the driver's point of view? We're going to go on board with the 64 of Baldeck, Brett Baldeck, and see exactly what he saw with this impact off of turn 2 and into the inside wall in real time. Oh, gracious. There's a little opening there for a safety truck to be able to come out from behind the inside wall. There's the shot that he took from, I think that was the 24.
Yeah, it was brutal.
And he missed the first wall, and then he hit the second wall. Is out for the second time here tonight, and again, kind of like what I mentioned before with the fact that these drivers have the fast repairs to rely on. I think we're going to see a lot more of this because, you know, Daytona is 2.5 miles in length, but they also turn laps here about 45 seconds. So when you consider a 45 lap at Daytona, it's not really that long a race. It's almost kind of like a shootout, which is why I expected fully to see these drivers racing very aggressively, especially on restarts.
Absolutely. You know, with short time at a track like this, not a lot of cars, but that draft, it just makes it really hard to pass. Expect, you know, inside lane, outside lane, you've got to have friends to help you. Otherwise, you're not, really going to go anywhere.
Lights are out atop the pace car. We're going to go back green this time. Jason Keffer continues to stay out, not willing to give up the track position. He has not pitted since we went green to start this race. He'll have Justin Malello to his outside, followed by pole sitter Seth Eggert, Nick DeGroot, Brendan Madonia, and Steve Ellis. That's going to be your first 3 rows. Just to update one driver, that being the 64 of Brett Baldeck, did use one of his faster pairs under this caution. And it looks like Ryan Vargas was on pit road to top off the fuel tank in the 13 machine. So we'll keep an eye on that. Of course, he had to come to pit road to recalibrate his pedals earlier on as well. So not being up there at the front like he was early on this race, taking the opportunity to maybe get a splash more of fuel just in case. And I kind of put that in air quotes, just in case we go green to the end.
Absolutely. And there's a good chance that we might just, if these cars settle down, but with there not being a lot of laps left, I really don't think that's going to happen.
Tonight's race is the TSJ Sports 100 here at Daytona, and I want to thank them for sponsoring the race. I actually headed on over to their website at tsj101.com. And they've got actually a really nice website there, recaps on things NASCAR, NFL, NBA, MLB, all sorts of sports, very well-written articles. So head on over there and check them out. Appreciate them sponsoring tonight's event as we're back green on lap 17.
Ooh, somebody missed a gear back there. Could have been, yep, I believe, who was it? Could have been that 81 machine. I believe he might have missed a gear because now there's a big gap between this little front half here.
Joe Agee in the 81 was involved in the first caution. And you're right, he stacked everyone up behind him, including Kyle McFadden, Ron Capps. There's the 07 of Ford Martin. 27 right there as well, Michael Massey, who got back on the lead lap after the competition caution. But there's 9 drivers up in this lead pack racing double wide, which means all those guys that lost that lead pack, they're more than likely going to draft back up here and make it about an 18, 19 car pack again.
Absolutely, and look at this, still side by side. Oh, look, someone was peeking out, maybe trying to go 3 wide. Oh, I think there's a wreck back there. Yes, there is a big wreck. 2 cars.
Oh, wow. Oh, gracious, the 10 just went up in the air. He got a hit from Paul Sutton, and DJ Cummings went up into the air. All 4 tires left the racing surface.
Drew Welker involved as well.
Jeff Green in the 22, who was back there after being involved in the last caution.
Oh, faster pairs.
Yep. I mean, here's the thing, though. You know, they've got 4. But let's speculate. I mean, we already know that Chris Wilner in the 26, he's been involved in 2 wrecks here this evening. If somebody takes hard enough hits in 4 cautions, let's say in like the first 24 laps or so, well, at this point it would actually be longer than that. We would go to about lap 30. You got to save those faster pairs just in case we end up having a late race caution. Of course, we know as well that we have green-white checkered attempts. We had to use 3 of them last week.
Absolutely. We're looking here at the wreck, and it looked like the 10 just tried to get in line behind the 24 and just wasn't clear yet. And the 24, a hard impact to the outside wall.
That's a playoff contender in DJ Cummings making that mistake. As we're going to follow and see what happened here going into turn 1. Look to the inside 3 wide did Welker to the inside of Ryan Vargas. And up the middle comes Cummings. He's got Welker to the inside. He had, I believe that was Wilner to the outside. Oh, gracious. 24 went up and took a hard hit into the wall as well. Went airborne. And there's the shot from Paul Sutton that sends the 10 car up into the air as well. Not certain how Jeff Green got involved. We'll go back and see who made the contact with him. Green actually saw the wreck happen in front of him, darted down to the apron in turn 1, right there. Sees that he actually might have had a little help down there. Might have gotten into the back of DJ Cummings, and then he comes back up the track and gets a little help from behind. I believe that was from possibly the 64 of Brett Baldeck.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. Goes, oh yeah, he the 10 car, when the 10 got clipped by the 24, he just barely got a little bit of clip, and that's what clipped him down towards the inside of the racetrack there.
So third caution of the evening. And Justin Malello, at the timing of that yellow, was able to be ahead of Jason Keffer. We saw that inside line kind of breaking up. Not a whole lot of drivers down there, so the outside line forged ahead. Malello, the leader here. The one thing I'm wondering, we've had 3 cautions. Just how far can that 33 car go before coming to pit road? I would assume that even though 45 laps doesn't seem like a long distance to us, that more than likely the admins had in mind these drivers at least coming to pit road one time before the conclusion of this race.
Well, it depends on how close the fuel mileage was. You know, if we keep getting cautions like this, he could possibly even stretch it to the end of the race, pending any green light checkers. I don't think that'd be a good idea, but it's possible.
Yeah. It's interesting, too, because I went and looked prior to this race. There are 3, and one of them has an asterisk, but there are 3 super speedways that these drivers ran during the regular season. That was 2 races at Talladega and a race at the Monza Super Speedway configuration. Now, the 2 races have been won by drivers that are not in this field here tonight. Landon Castle winning the Monza race, Parker Kligerman winning one of the Talladega races. But one of the drivers we just saw up into the air was DJ Cummings, and he had a Talladega win with the Indy cars here during the regular season. So you kind of had to think that, you know, with him having a prior win at a super speedway, he'd be one of the guys to watch in this race, but things have just not gone well for that 10 machine, at least for right now in the early stages of this one.
Yeah, not at all, and we're roughly coming up to halfway in this race. So it's still got a decent amount of time to go before this race even concludes. You know, and I could see over the scanner here, still a lot of laps left. Let's race clean. So hopefully everybody can kind of calm down just a little bit and get a good green flag run into the finish.
Going to be going back green on lap 22 of 45 with 24 laps to go when we go back green. Want to shout out some more of the sponsors of this league. BST Shocks, Big Green Egg, of course TSJ Sports, that's sponsoring tonight's race here at Daytona. Follow Eric Badouin, and of course Sunday Circle Farm as well. A lot of great sponsors backing this really exciting league. It's a pleasure to be able to do it here at Flatout Racing Network. And I mean, an unbelievable race last week for the regular season finale at Miami, and now kicking off the playoffs here at Daytona. We've had some early cautions, had some flips and some airborne drivers, some hard hits. You just get the feeling as we get closer and closer to the end, it's building up to be one of those exciting Daytona finishes.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Pace car lights are off, and they're coming on the front straightaway.
Going to be Justin Malello on the inside. Outside's going to be Jason Keffer. Nick DeGroot's going to be the one to help push the 53. Pole sitter Seth Eggert, second car on that outside line. Green flag back in the air.
Malello with a good restart. He's got the car behind him pushing. Now the question is, can he get out to the sole leader? Or is it still going to be side by side?
Car switching up to the outside line back there. I think that was the 98 of Noah Lewis. Ford Martin now jumps up there as well. We're starting to see some cars moving up to that second line. 5 cars on the inside, 4 cars on the outside, and the leader! Oh my goodness, right in front of the field, and it's going to be the big one. Just about everybody's involved in this one. Cars scattered through turn 3.
Like you said, I'm pretty sure that is everyone.
There were a couple drivers that snuck through, but it's one of those wrecks where it would be easier to name the drivers that didn't get involved as opposed to those that did. As Malello from the lead got hooked, went up into the air. And there's going to be some more orders for fast repairs on pit road.
Oh yeah, that was the outside lane getting turned.
Joshua Slate was the one that emerged the race leader after all of that. And let's take a look and see exactly what happened. But no doubt about it, the big one, at least up to this point, has struck. And that's usually what happens, especially when there's a wreck at the front of the field.
Yep. It looks like the 66 just looks like the 66 just went to the wrong side of the bumper and turned the 33, and that was the entire field.
You brought this up earlier, Michael, the fact that these bumpers with the different manufacturers, with maybe the exception of the Fords, do not line up. That was a Ford trying to push a Chevy on that outside line.
Yeah, and it does not work. Malello, I think, got the worst of that.
He was up on top of another car. I'm not certain whose it was. Might potentially have been the 98 of Noah Lewis.
We're going
to take a couple of onboards on this one.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, definitely the same thing.
On board with Lewis and the 98. You just watch how there's nowhere to go. He was the third car on that outside line. He tries to go to the outside of Eggert. Can't do it. And, yep, there you see a clean shot of the 53 of Justin Malello up and onto his hood. You saw the 27 there of Michael Massey. Collected up as well. I mean, it'd be hard to give an exact total of the drivers that were involved, but I think that we would safely be able to say at least 12 cars collected up in this one.
Yeah, more than half the field for sure. I'm riding right now. See, for me, I'm riding on board with Malello. He's just driving his line, staying down towards the yellow line, getting closer. And next thing you know, he just gets turned out of nowhere.
Taking a look from the rear bumper cam on then race leader Justin Malello.
Oh,
watch
Lord.
that outside line get a big run there with the 33 and the 66, and right there's going to be the bad bump.
Word of advice: don't use the gyro cam when watching Justin Malello's wreck.
Saw the rear end of the 53 going up and into the catch fence. A couple more drivers I saw that got collected up in this included the 23 of Rob D'Amico, the 07 of Ford Martin. I think Chris Wilner is 3 for 4 in getting involved in wrecks here tonight, as I think he got a piece of this one. Nick DeGroot in the 89 had a lot of damage. And the interesting thing, too, is if you consider the fact those are at least 5 drivers that have spent most of this first half of the race up in the front of the field. Now they're going to be back there due to having to come to pit road for crash damage and fast repairs.
The 88, Joshua Slate is the leader. He was, saw before he made it through. Well, so much for, hey guys, take it easy. Let's have a clean race.
And look at some of these guys that are up here at the front now. You got Slate. We haven't mentioned him all night long. Joe Agee, who was involved in the first caution of the evening. Michael Rossi, who missed his stall twice under the first caution, is now third. Brett Baldeck, who took that hard lick into the inside wall in the back straightaway, is fourth. And Paul Sutton, who sent the 10 of DJ Cummings up into the air earlier, he's in fifth. Cummings is right now in seventh behind Ryan Vargas, who had calibration problems with his pedals earlier on. So, I mean, the whole landscape at the front of the field has completely changed now.
Yeah. Yeah, it really has. It's all it takes is one caution, one big wreck, and bam. So now you've got the leader, Justin Malello, probably one of the dominant cars, all the way at the rear of the field because of this wreck.
Now, one thing that's interesting, we talked about the fact that these drivers do have 4 fast repairs at their disposal.
Oh, 86, like one left.
Well, the 86 of Devin Henry, he's just now leaving pit lane. He spent 2 minutes and 28 seconds getting his car repaired. I'm kind of surprised that with us being past the halfway point, he didn't use one of those fast repairs here. Instead, spending the extra time on pit road just getting damage repaired the regular way.
He's probably trying to save him for later. He probably knows there's going to be more crashes and more wrecks.
Well, Henry's going to be a lap down because of that. Mentioned Jerry Jordan ended up joining late. He's right now 8 laps down. These cautions are certainly helping him to be able to get back in the lead lap, as an entirely different looking front row of Joshua Slate and Joe Agee are going to lead us to the green, completing lap 25.
Going to keep an eye at the rear of the field for this restart.
Yeah, there's a lot of fast cars back there, like Malello, Jeff Green, Seth Eggert. We've seen them all up at the front for most of this race, and now they find themselves outside the top 20. We nearly had a wreck right there, as I think that was Baldeck as well as Agee getting up and brushing the wall in turn 1 and 2.
Devin Henry just barely, I think, made it to the restart to be able to stay in line with the leaders here. Look at the 26 car. 26 car is racing with no hood, so it's another driver who did not take an actual fast repair.
That's a playoff contender in Chris Wilner as well. So,
okay, I think it might have been an internet issue because I saw smoke from up ahead.
Yeah, there's a couple of cars that have been having some internet problems. It might have been the 19 of Paul Sutton, who's right now third on that inside line, is up at the front. Inside line is Joshua Slate. Outside line's forging ahead, though. Joe Adgie with a big push there from Baldeck. Got another car up there into the wall. I believe that might have been the 49 of Madonia, but they keep it all straight, at least for the moment, down the back straightaway. We're 3 wide mid-pack.
Someone's on the apron there. Going to have to let him up. I think he might be just kind of getting out of the way, and there we go again. One car wreck, it looked like.
Yep, that's Kyle McFadden in the 39. Oh, we got a car up in the air back there. I believe that was Ron Capps in the 28. No caution yet. Now it is thrown. I believe the admins are calling the cautions tonight, but Ron Capps hit the outside wall going into turn 3, and that car was up and over by itself.
And that collected Jeff Green, so very, very bad luck for that 22 team tonight.
Kyle McFadden was the first car that you mentioned that we saw step out of line and slide into the infield grass. I don't think that had anything to do with the following wreck that it had Ron Capps and Jeff Green involved, but I mean, when the 18, that was the car that was falling to the back of CJ McLaughlin, that had them 4 wide. So I almost wonder if that might have led to the potential contact that led to maybe both wrecks from the back straightaway down to turn 3.
Oh yeah, that 27 was a ping pong ball in the middle right there. That was just he was just ping ponging. I don't know why he attempted to go 3 wide there. It was not a smart move. And there was just nowhere to go. And wow, what that 28 cars wreck reminded me of Brendan Gaughan's at Talladega. That's just how quickly he went up and over.
Gonna watch the 39 here of McFadden, and there you see the contact as Massey hooked him around. McFadden has actually taken his car back behind the wall. He never hit anything, never went down to the inside wall, so I'm surprised that he parked it. However, McFadden is not a playoff contender either, so with no championship on the line, probably decided, enough of this. I'm going to put that car back behind the wall and take the rest of the night off. We're going to go back and now see that scary wreck there with Ron Capps. I mean, we knew that, it was going to be high speeds, high voltage wrecks and everything, but did we expect to see this many cars flipping over? I'm not sure.
I haven't. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
There you see right there when McFadden spun, there was then contact between Ron Capps and Nick DeGroot. Up into the air goes Ron Capps, completely doing a 360 sideways. Jeff Green as well as CJ McLaughlin getting pieces of that one also.
I just saw the wreck from a static camera, and that was incredible. Not to steal that from Kyle Petty, but I mean seriously, that was incredible.
What do you think? Do we ride on board with Ron Capps on this one?
Yeah.
Why not?
I'd definitely give it a try.
Let's see what Ron Capps saw. Hopefully you guys don't get dizzy, because here it comes, and I don't know. It landed on its wheels. I'd give that a 9 out of 10 landing.
Yeah, I'd say that too. Like I said, it reminded me a lot of Brendan Gaughan's Talladega wreck from last year.
Ron Capps is very used to high speeds when it comes to the NHRA drag strip, but not sure he's used to being up in the air, flipping in a 360-degree turn, riding about maybe 10 to 12 feet above the racing surface.
Yeah. I don't think anybody is ready for that.
So our 5th caution of the evening here. And that more than likely at this point, everybody would be able to make it on fuel.
Yeah, we have 16 laps to go as they cross start-finish line to get the one-to-go signal.
I mean, Joe Adgie, Joshua Slate have been out there the longest on what they have for their set of tires, 19 laps now. Brett Baldeck's been out there for 10 laps, Michael Rossi for 15 laps. All the rest of the drivers have been out there for single digits. The highest of those being Paul Sutton, 9 laps on his tires. Most everybody else has either just come to pit road under this caution or has been out there for 6 laps. So I would assume that everybody is going to be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel, barring the possibility that we end up having those maximum 3 green-white checkered finishes.
Yeah, and
So
the other question is we don't know how many cars have fast repairs left after this wreck, and we're going to be going green with 15 to go.
A couple of drivers look like they may have used some fast repairs here under this caution. Those would include Nick DeGroot, Noah Lewis, and quite possibly, though I'm not 100% certain, the 24 of Drew Welker, I think, used a fast repair also. Mentioned that Kyle McFadden is out of this race. Looks like he will finish in the 25th position. 4 laps, and Jerry Jordan will pass him for 24th. Devin Henry was the recipient of the free pass under this caution. So if 24 cars still running, 23 on the lead lap. And we're getting ready to go back green flag racing with 15 laps to go. Just looking in terms of playoff contenders right now, it looks like you've only got 3 of them up inside of the top 10. Michael Rossi in 4th, Stephen Ellis in 7th, and DJ Cummings in 8th. Daytona has not been kind to the playoff drivers here tonight as Joe Agee gets us back underway.
Yep, down off into the corner they go. So far, so good.
Take them about almost a full lap to get up to full song. Everybody trying to take advantage of the track position they have at the front. Top 3 going to get themselves broken away. And here comes Ryan Vargas in that 13. It's been a long road to get up to the front, but he's back there again, and he's had one of the strongest cars of the night.
To the inside, yeah, 64. He's been there this whole time. He's been trying. Yeah, he was involved in a lot of the earlier accidents. Got a good quick repair, and here he is back up running the inside lane for second. These cars are just all over trying to stay in the straight line. Look at Malello. He's now back to the inside row. I believe he's the 5th car on that inside lane.
Malello is involved in the, I believe it was 4th caution of the evening, getting spun while out in front leading this race, trying to fight his way back up to the front. Right now, scored in that 9th position. He's still got some cars up here that are warping. Oh, Paul Sutton! Not sure what he was doing there. He blinked for a moment, then came down into, I think that was Madonia's passenger side door. Madonia down below the double yellow line. Same for Malello. That was a scary moment off of 2.
And we have a new leader.
Ryan Vargas, the NASCAR Next driver. Former racer for JD Motorsports in the Xfinity Series. I believe he had a run there at Road America for the Xfinity team, and now has his bright red Flex Seal Chevrolet Camaro out in front, getting pushed there courtesy of the 88 of Joshua Slate.
Couple of cars back here still with a little bit of damage, but doesn't seem to really be affecting them too much. Get the 13 and be able to work both drafting lines.
The drivers back there as well, some playoff contenders just outside of the top 10. There's the 07 of Ford Martin. Seth Eggert back there in the 66. Ron Capps, who we saw up and over in the air in the 28, using, I believe, one of his fast repairs. They're all still up here with a shot up in this lead pack, but there are a couple of stragglers back there as well, including a playoff contender, the 26 of Chris Wilner, who you mentioned is out there still without a hood.
The 81 car. Oh, there we go. There we go. The 19.
Oh, Paul Sutton is going to wreck it. Oh, wow, he clobbered somebody there. That was the 26.
And that was a lot of lag involved in that one. Paul
Yes,
Sutton
it
with
was.
a lot of glitching. Lot of internet issues, and that's what the cause of that was.
And you could clearly tell that when that car was spun around and facing down towards turn 1, he was actually inside the 53 of Justin Malello, which proves that that was internet connection problems. And boy, that's really tough. We saw earlier with Jeff Green when he was having internet problems and was blinking up at the front of the field. It makes it so difficult for drivers to be able to figure out, can I push this car? How can I maneuver around him just in case he disappears and reappears where I don't expect it?
Yep, and we have 11 laps to go as they cross the line, trying to catch up to the pace car right now. So we're going to have a restart within 10 laps to go, which means this finish is going to be exciting.
Yeah, this finish may not even be the finish. We still may have some green-white checkers in our future as we're going to go back and see what happened here to Paul Sutton. I mean, before we saw Paul Sutton have some issues with his internet and turn down into the 49 of Madonia. And right there, he was gone. Everyone's trying to avoid. And there you see, I don't know if he got a little help from behind or not. I think that was the 23 that was behind him. May have given him a little help. Actually, nope, correction. That was the 98 of Noah Lewis that may have helped him around. And unfortunately, Chris Wilner has been involved in his third wreck of the evening. He's at 50% of being involved in tonight's cautions. The tone was set early on, being involved in the first two cautions. This is not a way that you want to start out the first round if you're a playoff contender.
Absolutely not. That's just really, really bad luck. Not right now would be the time for any of the cars that are out there to come in, that with damage, to come in and use a fast repair, get back to a clean, and just try to run these last less than 10 laps, hopefully with a good clean car. But you never know what's going to happen on this restart.
We've got some takers on pit road. Brendan Madoni in the 49, Justin Malello, Ron Capps, Michael Massey, CJ McLaughlin, Rob D'Amico, all on pit lane this time. And it's hard to tell if some of these guys would be taking a fast repair or not. I don't think any of them were involved in this wreck, and I don't think any of them really sustained much damage. Well, maybe the 49 might have, because he had the 19 hit him in the right side.
We have a very slow car. A 26 car just came to a stop and came back into his pit road. I'm not sure if maybe he ran out of gas or something on that 26 machine.
Chris Wilner, I would assume that he would be a driver absolutely right now that should use one of his fast repairs, especially with it coming down to crunch time. And he's got to at least have a decent run here tonight, because again, these drivers next week, they're going to be back here at Daytona, but it's the road course configuration with the 911 machines. I mean, if you're not a good road course racer, this is basically your only chance, really, to try and make sure you're going to advance in the next round of the playoffs. Then you head into next week just hoping you survive.
Yep, I completely agree.
As things stand right now for this restart, in terms of playoff drivers, it's going to be the entire top four non-playoff contenders. You got to go all the way back to Michael Rossi, Stephen Ellis, and DJ Cummings there in 5th, 6th, and 7th before you get to the drivers that are battling for the championship.
Interesting to note, over the driver's radio, there will not be a caution thrown on the white flag, no matter what. They race back to the checker.
Yep, we were told that last week by Ford Martin. We've also been told as well that if we end up having to get to the green-white checkers, once that third green-white checkered attempt takes place, there will be no cautions thrown there either. They'll have those 2 laps to race it out. Whatever happens, happens. They're racing to the checkered flag.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's going to make, once again, this restart very, very interesting, as we're going to have so you got the one to go signal now, so I'm guessing about 8 laps to go?
I believe that would be correct. So far, we have had, with our 6th caution here, going back green on lap 38, each caution has come out somewhere around 6 laps at an average. So with 8 laps to go, there is, at least for the law of averages, we're going to have probably another caution before this race reaches its at least official length conclusion.
Yep. Drivers reminding other drivers to remember to breathe for these last couple of restarts.
But how? That's what I'd like to know. I mean, it's easy to say, not as easy to execute. I mean, these drivers have been out there for 37 laps. Yes, we've had quite a number of those laps under pacing, but in the laps that we've been under green flag conditions, neither line's been able to get an edge, really. The inside line, the outside line, they've been staying side by side for most of these runs. I mean, how do you breathe when you know the fact, it's got to be getting frustrating of, I can't get an edge on this guy, he can't get an edge on me, we're going nowhere.
Yeah, and it's difficult because then it gets really frustrating, and that's what's going to lead to a lot of these mistakes when that happens, because with nowhere really to go, you're stuck, and it gets incredibly frustrating as we're back under green for these final few laps.
8 laps to go in the TSJ Sports 100 at Daytona. Pick your driver and hope he may be the first of the checkered flag, because this could be a very interesting shootout.
Man, Ryan Vargas got a great restart. He's able to pull by himself the 88 car in second place now by himself as well. So those two can really work together and control the draft.
Down the back straightaway they go. You got a couple of teammates that could work together there. The 17 of Michael Rossi and the 10 of DJ Cummings. Their other teammate Ford Martin is stuck on that outside line there. The Jack Daniels Chevrolet, as again, 5-6 rows deep. They are double wide, side by side, from first back to around 20, actually make that 12.
7 laps to go as they cross the start and finish line. The 13 still has the edge, but the 81 on the top, he's got help behind him. That line is moving up slowly.
Like Jeff Green's internet connection issues may have settled out. He's back up inside the top 10, right now unofficially in the 8th position, as Vargas continues to show the way, and now it gets to the point where he's going to have to spend more of his time looking in his rearview mirror to block any runs that happen, rather than out his windshield.
Absolutely, and as Wally Dallenbach once said, you got a mirror drive, and you may get turned for mirror driving, but you will definitely be mirror driving.
But again, Ryan Vargas, first race of the season. So what has he got to lose? He can come in here and try and win in his Monday night racing debut.
Absolutely, and what a feat that would be. Just keep driving out the rearview mirror. If you've got a spotter with you, just listen to him, have him tell you where the outside lane is and how big of a run it's getting. Other than that, just stick to the inside. I believe there is a car ahead that is the 26 car who has used a faster pair.
Oh, we got a wreck. There they go.
Oh, that
Stephen
is
Ellis is around in the 46. There's another car spinning as well. Caution's going to fly.
Jeff Green's involved. Justin Malello's involved. Ron Cap's involved.
That started in the middle of the pack again. Nowhere to go for a number of these drivers. Now, I think with the timing of this caution, we will get back green in regulation. But I'm not certain if it would be an inbounds green-white checkered. Yeah, there's another car smoking further up there. Is that the 24, I think, of Welker? No, that is the 33 of Jason Keffer.
The 86 slammed hard to the inside wall. I'm looking at it now. The 07 of Ford Martin has claimed responsibility. Just went for a hole that closed up in a hurry.
Oh, wow. Look at the 07. The suspension's completely skewed to the right. Fortunately, he was able to make that car turn left enough to get to pit road, but man, that car must have taken a shock because the whole suspension is completely skewed. And there you see, right there, that is a fast repair. You saw how damaged the car was, immediately back to a brand new car. So Ford Martin using a fast repair here is, I would assume, more than likely just about everybody that was involved in this wreck would be using a fast repair.
And it all depends on who's out of them too. Like Jeff Green was involved and got some heavy damage. I don't even know if he has a fast repair left.
Let's take a look at the wreck and what happened. Keep an eye on the red and black 46 of Stephen Ellis on that outside line. He's the first car I saw snap around. Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, Richard Martin looked like he tried to go up the middle. There just wasn't enough room. He got Jeff Green in the right rear quarter panel. Green went up and got Ellis, and then the track was just blocked up. And you see everyone trying to scatter through the grass to avoid.
Yeah, the 07 just went for a hole that closed up too quickly.
This may have challenged our earlier big one for most cars involved, but at least for this one, it didn't look like as many drivers got as huge impacts as we had back on our first big one, but certainly a lot of cars involved in this one, spinning into the grass trying to avoid.
Well, this could lead to a 2-lap to go restart, not a green-white checkered, but just in regulation. Jeff Green did in fact have a fast repair, so a lot of these cars did. So more than likely, probably their last one of the night.
I mean, you just watch here as we rode on board with Ron Capps. It's the situation of you pick a lane, you keep your foot in the throttle, you hope there's not going to be another car on the other side of that cloud of smoke.
Absolutely, and now the Ryan Vargas has to get another restart. Ryan Vargas has come over the driver's radio, says he's got a pee, so he really wants this race to finish.
Well, just hold it if you can, Ryan, because right now he has had one of the fastest cars here tonight, and he has a chance to maybe close out the deal as Watching these drivers that spun down to the inside wall. Oh, wow. I saw that hit you were talking about for Henry. Keffer in the 33 took a hard shot in the inside wall as well.
Yeah, it was a real tough. Someone, I forgot who it was, got into the tire barriers that are on the backstretch pretty hard as well.
Yep, that was the 86. We just saw that happen, so. Henry undoubtedly took a fast repair. Keffer, I'm sure, took a fast repair. I would be surprised if anybody that was involved in that wreck didn't take a fast repair here.
We got the 1-to-go signal. This will be an in regulation 2-lap-to-go restart.
And remember what you said. According to race admins, if they make it around to the white flag, we will race back to the checkers. There will be no more green-white checkered attempts in overtime or anything like that. So we'll see if they can at least keep it together for 2.5 miles to be able to race under green flag conditions on the final lap.
5 miles of racing to go. And all it's going to take is 2.5 to make sure that this race ends without going into overtime.
Let's set the stage for you here as they're on the back straightaway. Ryan Vargas will be the control car here. The race leader, Joshua Slate, who pushed him to the race lead, will be on the outside of the front row. Joe Agee, Michael Rossi, playoff contender, will make up row 2. Brett Baldeck and playoff contender DJ Cummings will be 5th and 6th, followed by Rob D'Amico, Paul Sutton. Playoff contender Nick DeGroot's now back up in the top 10. He's 9th, followed by Michael Massey. The rest of your playoff contenders, where are they? Well, for this restart, it'll be Seth Agert back in 13th. Stephen Ellis, who was involved in that wreck, 17th. Justin Malello in 18th. Ford Martin, 20th. Ron Capps in 21st. And Chris Wellner, who just got the free pass under this caution, will be 22nd. So a lot of drivers have a lot of work to do here to leave Daytona in good position to advance to the next round of the playoffs.
Absolutely. We're going to have a 2-lap restart. Anything's going to happen. Let's just hope they can get to the white flag. And here we go.
Ryan Vargas got to make sure that he doesn't get too far out in front and let anybody behind him get a run and leave him out to dry. Looked like a pretty decent start for him. But that outside line's formulated pretty good, so now he's got a choice to make. Does he stay down with the 81 of Agee, or does he try and go up and stop the 88 of Slate as they almost wreck back there mid-pack?
Someone's having internet issues in the back there.
Might have possibly been the 27 of Michael Massey, who is dropping through the field very quickly. Oh, we're going 3 wide for the lead. Contact! And Edgy's into the wall. Another car into the wall. Will a caution be thrown? Yes, the track is completely blocked up on the back straightaway. Another car is up into the air. We're going green-white checkered overtime.
Oh, the 17's on his roof. Malello involved.
Ford Martin. Can't tell who the car is back there that's facing the wrong way. It might be the 17. That was right up at the front of the field again. A 3-wide situation for the lead. And I don't think that Ryan Vargas made any contact when they went. I think it was the 2 cars in the middle and outside line that got together.
Yeah, it was.
That Baldeck was involved in this one as well. Saw Joe Agee in the 81, who was one of the drivers that initiated the contact that led to that wreck. It was hard to tell who the other car was. Maybe the 17 of Michael Rossi. We'll go back and look at another replay. Another wreck right up at the front of the field. The whole back straightaway got blocked, and I think it might actually be the 64 of Baldeck who gets a huge shove here. He's going to jump to the outside of Agee. Agee's going to try and move up the block. The 2 of them make contact, and then they come down and collect Rossi. D'Amico. Oh, wow, it was Rossi was the car that went up into the air. I'm not certain, but I think Rossi hit that area where the safer barrier juts out heading into turn 3.
Yeah, and it's as soon as you hit that one spot, man, it's game's over. It's really bad. As this is gonna be our first attempt at a green-white checkered.
And I've been trying to keep track here of most of these drivers to see if anyone is getting dangerously close to having used up all 4 of their fast repairs. And right now, the one driver that's kind of standing out to me after getting involved in this one could very well be the 53 of Justin Malello. He's used at least 2, I know, possibly 3. So he might be getting close to the edge of having used up all his faster pairs, especially with the fact that we're looking at the possibility of this being just one of 3 overtime cautions.
And I really hope so. Ryan Vargas is really hoping that this is the last caution too.
Ryan Vargas and his bladder are hoping that this is the last one.
Yeah, because he just came across that I really have to go.
Oh, man. So Ryan Vargas going to be the leader when we go back green. Of course, with that incident happening up inside of the top 3, again, the landscape of the top 10 has changed dramatically. DJ Cummings, who, remember we said, is the only driver in the field tonight that has a win earlier on this season at a super speedway at Talladega. He's now second. Joshua Slate third. Nick DeGroot's up to fourth. Noah Lewis, Brendan Madonia, they're fifth and sixth, with Seth Eggert, Jeff Green, Rob D'Amico up there in ninth. I could have sworn that D'Amico got a little bit of that incident, but apparently not enough to bring him to pit road. And Chris Wilner, if I'm not mistaken, was the recipient of the free pass under the last caution. All of a sudden, he's up in 10th place.
Yep, he was about to go a lap down too. They were going to approach him. They were quickly approaching him, but now here he is in the top 10, and he has a shot at winning this thing.
Justin Malello did come to pit lane and use one of his fast repairs. Michael Rossi, I don't think he used one of his. He spent about 3 minutes on pit road, so the 17, I don't know how well they could have repaired that car as far as being up to speed, but he decided not to use a fast repair here under this caution. Maybe thinking along the lines that this isn't the last yellow we've seen tonight, and maybe he'll come to pit road afterwards and get a fast repair then. Saw the 24 of Drew Welker going around, getting one of his laps back. He's currently still 1 lap down. Jerry Jordan, who started the evening about 9 laps down, is now 3 laps down, has 21 cars in the lead lap of 24 cars running, and we rack them up, we do it again. Michael, I mean, we know what Ryan Vargas is hoping for, but what do you think? Yeah. Do we finish this race out here with this green-white checkered, or are we going to have to use all 3?
I really, really hope, for the sake of Ryan Vargas, that this is our only green-white checkered attempt. It's all going to come down to how these guys make their moves, because they're going all over the racetrack trying to put their nose where there's not a hole, and it's just causing this melee. So they need to get at least around to the white flag before really trying to never lift and put their nose in wherever they can.
Seth Cole, Michael Norman here for Flatout Racing Network, bringing you the conclusion of tonight's first race of the playoffs for Monday Night Racing. We appreciate you following our broadcast here tonight on Facebook and YouTube, and we've had a question here about, can that 13 make it on fuel? He was last on pit road back on lap 25, so he should be okay to make it the rest of the way. The driver right now we have to be worried about would be Joshua Slate in the 88. He's been out there for 35 laps.
Yep, and the 10 car got a decent start. I think he's going to slide right behind the 13. He does. Now the question is, not only can they just hold it for this lap to get back to the white flag, but will the 10? I mean, the 10's all over his back bumper.
DJ Cummings has no teammates up here to help him. The 07 and the 17 were involved in the last wreck. They're in the back of the field. So if he's going to make a move, he's going to have to do it all by himself. Oh. And there's a car around, spinning to the infield. Caution is out again. It's Madonia who hit the tire barriers there on the inside. There's another car in the infield grass that might be the 98. No, it was a black machine. I couldn't tell who it was, but they went through the grass and then came back up onto the racetrack.
Yep. That was. I figured that might not have been a caution until I saw 2 cars go around.
I saw 2 cars go around, but they spun down into the infield grass. I am a little bit surprised that actually did bring out a yellow, and so there's our first attempt.
Oh, the 13 shut his car off. He's coasting. He's really getting close.
Oh boy. So if Vargas is shutting off his engine, I at this point would be really worried about that 88 of Joshua Slate, because he has been out there 13 laps longer than our 2 race leaders right now, Ryan Vargas and DJ Cummings. Slate's been out there for 35 laps, Vargas and Cummings for 22. Then the next drivers that have been out there the longest would be Nick DeGroot. He's been out there 17 laps, and Michael Massey's been out there 10 laps. We'll go back and see what happened to the 49. Brendan Madonia, who has actually taken his car back behind the wall.
Somebody made the comment, "I pacing" in the drivers' chat. That was a pretty good joke there. Kind of summing up the second half of this race, but it's been hectic in the brief times we've been under the green flag. It's been real hold your breath moments.
But again, let's remember what we said at the top of the program. It's 45 laps. It's not a real long race when it comes to Daytona. It's kind of considered a shootout, if you will. These drivers had 4 fast repairs at their disposal here this evening, so there's no doubt, knowing that in the back of their mind, they were going to be very aggressive here, at least early on these restarts. And also just for the fact that it's the first race of the playoffs. These drivers, they want to be able to advance into the next round. Daytona is one of the few tracks, like Talladega, where everyone's really on a level playing field. It's not really you having the same people up inside of the top 5. It constantly changes. So with that being said, you've not only got these guys that want to use this to advance the next round of the playoffs, you've also got all these guys, like Ryan Vargas making his debut tonight. They want to make a statement. They want to just go out there and take a W.
Yep. And that's what's going to be the best part about this finish. All these cars out there that are racing with nothing on the line, and then all the cars that are out there racing with everything on the line. It's just going to make for some exciting last lap racing.
We talked about earlier on one of the restarts how there were only 3 of your playoff contenders up inside of the top 10. On this restart, our second attempt at a overtime green-white checkered, you've got DJ Cummings in second. Seth Eggert, the pole sitters, back up at the front. He's in 5th. Nick DeGroot is in 6th. 8th place is Stephen Ellis, and Chris Wilner now up in the 10th position. You've got 5 drivers in the top 10, and you've got 7 drivers up inside of the top 15, if you also include in Justin Malello 11th and Ron Capps in 12th.
Yep, and this is just going to be something to watch. Watching the 88 car, he's still out there. He's going to be close on gas. The 13 still cutting his engine off, coasting as we've gotten a 1-to-go signal.
So Ryan Vargas hoping, praying that this is going to be the final time these drivers have to do a restart. He's been really good the last 2 times that we've gone back green, of not getting too far out in front, managing the cars behind him. He was on the bottom of a 3-wide situation back on the initial green-white checkered in terms of the regular scheduled distance. This last restart didn't really have much of a challenge as Cummings tucked in behind him. But I got to wonder here, if you're someone like DJ Cummings, I didn't get a chance to get this question out before that last yellow came out, but if you're DJ Cummings and you tuck in behind Ryan Vargas, are you going to be content to push that 13 to the win and try and be the highest finishing playoff contender with a second place run? Or do you have to go out there and try and make the move for this win?
Oh, no, he's going to try to make the move if he can. The only problem is if he tucks in behind the 13 and the outside lane gets a run and they're side by side, he's going to have no choice but to try to push that 13 to the win.
Well, the people in our chat think that they're going to wreck again. Michael, what do you think? Do we make it back this time, or do we use them all up?
I really hope so, but something in me is telling me that we're going to end up using this last green-white checkered attempt. But I really, really hope that we don't, because I want to see this good, exciting finish.
Don't forget, folks, last week we used all 3 green-white checkered overtime attempts, and it led to Kyle Busch taking the truck win in the regular season finale at Homestead. A crazy finish there. Let's see what Daytona has in store for us, as it's going to be Ryan Vargas leading us back to green. Green-white checkered attempt number 2 tonight at Daytona.
The outside lane, I noticed, was actually more bunched up and while the inside lane was a little bit more spread out, so I'm not sure how that's going to affect. Oh, look, and I believe that's 98 switched from the outside to the inside, so that's going to give the momentum to the inside. The 10 car not able to tuck down this time like he was last time. That's going to cost him.
DJ Cummings and Stephen Ellis up there with no friends as the non-playoff drivers work against the playoff drivers here. There's a 66, your pole sitter, Seth Eggert. It's so tough to go coast to coast at the super speedways, but Eggert's trying to do it after being the pole sitter earlier on this evening.
They made it through the back straightaway this time. They've only got about 500 more feet to go, trying to get to the white flag.
If they get to the white, we race to the checkers no matter what happens. The 13 of Vargas a little out of shape in the tri-oval, but he'll take the white flag at Daytona. Here comes Cummings and Ellis on the outside.
Can't count out Jeff Green, the entire outside lane. Just a Malello up there too. They're side by side, heading off into turn number 1.
We call this never lift time. You've got to keep your foot in the throttle no matter what happens here on these final couple of corners. As Vargas committed to the double yellow line, Cummings trying to get the outside line going. Big push from Stephen Ellis. Now Vargas goes to block, and he's going to get turned. Race lead gets changed as Joshua Slate to the front. They're still wrecking. It's Eggert and Slate, 1v1 through 3 and 4 coming to the start-finish line.
We talked about wanting to see if the fuel's going to hold up, and it looks like it will.
Joshua Slate blocking the 66. They made contact, but Joshua Slate is going to take the checkers here tonight at Daytona. The driver that was the longest out there since his last trip to pit lane, you mentioned it, had the fuel to make it, avoided the mayhem. A non-playoff driver wins tonight at Daytona. First win of the season for Joshua Slate.
And Jeff Green manages to recover and finishes third.
We had 2 wrecks there. One of them took place on the back straightaway heading into turn 3. The other one happened in the middle of 3 and 4, and only a handful of drivers were able to get through that. But not only does Slate get the win, but Seth Eggert, who started from the first position tonight, will finish second, so he will be the playoff contender that gets the maximum points here this evening.
Absolutely. And what an incredible finish. The 88 car going to stop on the front straightaway. Going to do a slight little slide there. Nice. And he's going to burn it down for his win. And ironic, an 88 car back to victory lane at Daytona.
Absolutely. The 88 car has been to victory lane with many drivers, including Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Jarrett. Well, tonight it's Joshua Slate taking the checkered flag and getting to burn it down here at Daytona. I believe that Slate was 5th on that last green-white checkered restart, and we say this so many times when it comes down to an overtime caution or even just down to the end of a superspeedway race. It's all about being in the right place at the right time.
Absolutely, it will be. And I cannot wait. This is going to be a very interesting, like I said, even after all the melee, Jeff Green came back to finish in the 3rd place.
Nick DeGroot's going to finish in 4th. He's the 2nd highest finishing of the playoff contenders. Devin Henry will get a top 5 in 5th. Jason Keffer 6th. Rob D'Amico in 7th. How about Michael Rossi? We saw that car up and over in turn 3. Nearing the end of this race, he's going to get a top 10 run in 8th. CJ McLaughlin 9th. Noah Lewis finishes in the 10th position. It was just basically from about maybe, I would say, 5th place on back, just all these damaged machines just trying to limp it back to the start-finish line to finish wherever they could. Ryan Vargas, who got spun from the race lead on the back straightaway, going to limp it home in the 11th position.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be definitely something. I guess Ryan Vargas can now go if he didn't already after that wreck.
The drivers that are really going to take a hit here tonight and are going to have to rely on next week to advance into the next round. Ford Martin in that 07, Ron Capps, Stephen Ellis, those drivers all finished 19th, 20th, and 21st here this evening, so they're going to have a lot of work to do next week when we get to the road course configuration here in Daytona. Let's see if we can get some post-race interviews with some of our top 3 finishers, as I believe we have our...
we have the top 2 in here.
Yeah, we've got our runner-up finisher, our pole sitter, Seth Eggert, standing by. Hey, Seth, it's Seth and Michael up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yes, I do.
Well, you started on the pole for this race. We saw you fall to the back and involved in a couple of wrecks, work your way back up to the front. But I think the one thing that everybody wants to know, what was it like in the cockpit on that final green-white checkered?
I knew the wreck was coming. You could just tell it with the way the racing was that the wreck was coming. So I figured I was going to hold the yellow line and have an escape route.
We obviously saw Daytona was not kind to the playoff contenders here this evening. I think just about everyone that came in the running for the championship got involved in a wreck in some way, shape, or form. Did you come into this race expecting something like that and had to strategize for what could potentially have been a caution fest?
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking I was going to use a similar strategy I used years ago at in the Daytona 500, just paint the O line, avoid the wrecks. That time I won. This time I finished second.
Now, you drivers had 4 fast repairs at your disposal, and we were kind of trying to keep track of how many drivers got involved in how many wrecks and how many fast repairs were used. Where were you in relation to that?
I had one left. I was thinking I might have to use it, but we never end up getting that last green white checkered, so I never had to use all 4. Uh, One I had to use after an incident under caution because some people checked up and I had nowhere to go, but it was interesting.
Now, Seth, obviously being the second place finisher here tonight and the highest of the playoff contenders, you're going to be, up there in a somewhat safe position heading into next week. You're not locked into the playoffs, obviously, with not having won, but what's your confidence level heading into the road course configuration of Daytona next week in the 911 cars?
Help. I'm not that good at road course racing. I did decently in the Pro 2s at Watkins Glen a few weeks ago, but traditional road course cars I am not the best in. I prefer ovals, so me getting that cushion this week is going to help next week.
Well, I mean, obviously, as you stated, that cushion's going to help, but maybe, just maybe next week you'll be able to at least survive at the Daytona road course, advance your way into the playoffs the next round. But, at least a great start here to your playoffs tonight, Seth, and we're going to let you do some shout-outs now.
Thanks to Kicking Tires not only for playing on this league. I'm the staff writer and esports editor there. Thanks for sponsoring me. Otherwise, my friends over in TeamSpeak, Paul Sutton, Michael Massey, Noah Lewis, we're all trying our best to figure out ways of working together. Justin Melillo, and I accidentally caused a wreck at one point. I'm not entirely sure what happened between me and Jason Keffer. I was pushing him. Next thing I know, he was going to the left into Justin and Noah. Otherwise, it was a fun race, and thanks to Jerry Jordan, Paul Sutton, and Ford Martin for putting all this together.
Well, that's Seth Eggert. He brings it home P2 here tonight at Daytona, highest finishing of the playoff contenders. Congrats on the great run, and wishing you luck next week at the Daytona road course.
Thank you.
And let's go down to Victory Lane, where we have our race winner, Josh Slate, standing by. Hey, Josh, it's Seth and Michael up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, I got y'all.
Well, you came into this race not battling for the championship, but you definitely wanted a win. You made your way through a lot of mayhem there on that final green-white checkered. Explain that to us.
If we're being honest, I just held the gas down and just prayed that I wasn't going to get caught up into it. And the seas parted, and I found my way through it, and luckily able to get the win. Last week kind of hurt, battling up front all week, and then race, and then not end up getting the win. So glad to be able to put the behind-the-wall car back in where it's supposed to be in Victory Lane.
We saw you along with the rest of the top 3 kind of saving fuel. You had been the driver out there the longest since being to pit road, 35 laps. Just how close was it of you being able to make it on fuel if we had not had this be the last green white checkered and we had a third attempt?
Oh, I had plenty of gas. I think last read-in before the green white checkered, it was saying 33 laps. So I was plenty good. I took a full tank at the first pit stop where I think everybody else filled it partially way up. But yeah, I had plenty of gas there at the end.
Obviously we saw the yellow flag fly multiple times here tonight, and we know that you guys had 4 fast repairs at your disposal. It was 45 laps, which is kind of like a shootout here at Daytona. But what do you think was the one common factor why we saw so many cautions and so much aggressive racing, especially early on?
I think it's the intensity of the playoffs. All these drivers are really hungry to get up there, and they see somebody who's not in the playoffs running up there, and they want the win to lock themselves in the next round. So I think it's just everybody pushing as hard as they can to lock themselves in the next round of the playoffs. We got a road course race, and I know a bunch of these guys are NASCAR guys. So going to a road course might not be too exciting for them. So I'm not too bad at road courses. Hopefully I can pull off a second win, but there's a lot of good guys.
Oh man, it looks like we just lost Josh, so we'll see if he gets back in here.
Having too much fun.
I think maybe he might have clicked the wrong button, closed out his Discord browser, so we'll wait for him to get back in here. But one thing that he alluded to real quickly here, Michael, before he gets back in, is the fact that a non-playoff contender, and you're a playoff driver behind a non-playoff contender. That one position is what's going to get you into the next round. So that's another thing we kind of didn't throw in as a factor as to maybe we saw so many cautions and so much aggressiveness, especially up there with those wrecks that happened. I think 3 of them were up inside of the top 5.
Yeah, it was incredible. That finish, man, it was almost a side-by-side battle. It was really intense.
I mean, let's also talk quickly while we're waiting for Josh to be able to get back in here about the comment that Seth Eggert made. We mentioned we're going to a road course. His remark, help. How many other drivers do you think are having that same feeling, knowing that they are not locked into the next round of the playoffs yet?
Oh, I don't even know. It's going to be crazy and intense, especially if road courses aren't your thing. But, it's going to take practice in order to at least get somewhat of a decent run there.
And we've got Josh back here, and so we'll let you finish your point here, Josh, about as far as the aggressiveness here in tonight's race.
Yeah, I think everybody's pushing because the next race, like I was saying, is a road course. All these guys are mostly NASCAR guys, so going to a road course might not be their expertise. So next week could be all over the place. So a good night here could definitely set you up nice in points for next week with the cutoff.
Well, we saw you be able to work your way up from, I think it was the 3rd row on that final restart. You finished P1 here tonight at Daytona. A crazy finish and a crazy race overall. But Josh, now we're going to let you do some shout-outs.
All right, guys. Thank you. This one goes out to everybody who's helped along the way. Behind the Wall Media. We have podcasts we release every week. And just trying to make a name for myself, go out here and get a career in NASCAR. So shout out to them, and shout out to my parents for helping me put this thing together and be able to come out here and race with everybody.
Well, that's Joshua Slate. He takes the checkered flag here tonight, Daytona International Speedway in the TSJ Sports 100. Congrats on a great victory, Josh. Go and enjoy it.
Appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
And it looks like we will not be having our 3rd place finisher, Jeff Green, in here tonight. So we were able to interview our top 2. But, so many times, Michael, we're used to, when we do other series, we're used to seeing in that first race, usually it is a playoff driver that goes to victory lane, locks themselves into the next round. None of the 9 playoff contenders that took the green to start tonight's race were first when they crossed the line for the checkered flag. So I even feel that guys that had good runs this evening, like Eggert, Nick DeGroot, Michael Rossi, some of your playoff drivers, they still have pressure heading into the Daytona road course as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just it's adding more pressure to them and hoping that they can get a good finish there. But Daytona was their one chance to actually make it in and not have to worry about it. But in true Daytona fashion, anything can happen.
Of course, in this race too, track position, maybe not as important as it is going to be next week with it being a road course here under the lights at Daytona International Speedway. But that is going to be next week. It'll be the final race of the first round of the playoffs. It will then determine the drivers that are going to be moving on to round 2 at Eldora and Texas. But as we conclude our coverage here this evening for the first playoff race for Monday Night Racing. First off, just want to thank the sponsor of tonight's race, TSJ Sports, for sponsoring this Daytona event. You can head on over and check them out at TSJ Sports 101.com. You can also follow them on Twitter at TSJ Sports 1. Also want to thank Monday Night Racing for giving us the opportunity here at Flatout Racing Network to be able to call the rest of their season. You can check them out on Twitter as well at Mon Night Racing. And Michael, I want to thank you for joining me here this evening. A crazy one at Daytona. I mean, you live, maybe about a couple of hours away from Daytona. You know what kind of crazy racing this place can bring.
Absolutely. I live about 45 minutes away from Daytona, and having been to at least one race every year, yeah, it's definitely crazy.
Well, next week it's going to be crazy as these drivers will be running the infield of Daytona in the Daytona road course configuration, but that will be next Monday evening. Green flag scheduled to fly at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you guys will join us. But Michael, again, thank you for joining me here this evening. Thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight on YouTube and Facebook. Hope you guys enjoyed the coverage here tonight for Monday Night Racing as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.